Skrillboys, TGT and beers, oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Very quiet in here. Well, anyways, hello guys, welcome back to Skrillboys, TGD and Vids. And you saw the intro right there. Yeah, I'm finally starting to put intros into this thing. Well, anyways, if you've been enjoying this series so far, if you've been enjoying the channel so far, why don't you give it a like? It really helps me. It lets the YouTube algorithm know I exist. Well, anyways, today we are talking about a scrapped Godzilla Kaiju. You can't see him? Here's a closer look. His name is Ghost-Godzilla! Bad Persian name. The drawing by me, by the way. Anyways, so who is Ghost-Godzilla? What is his unmade history? And why am I saying unmade? Well, that's because he's a scrapped Godzilla Kaiju. Well, it all started in the good old year of 1994, baby. Basically, Toho producer at the time, Shogo Tomiyama, and Heisei Godzilla director, Takawa Okawara, were flirting with a crazy idea. Godzilla vs. Godzilla. Or, as fans know it today, Godzilla vs. Ghost-Godzilla. Basically, it'd be either the restless spirit or the ghost of the 54 Gojira. Of course, hence why he looks like the original Godzilla. And look-wise, he has along his back bone-colored dorsal plates. Has the same charcoal black, sharper fangs, has ghost white eyes, and it's come complete with sharp fingernails. And you may be thinking, but Nicholas, this is the matter. Why did this beautiful kaiju come to existence? Well, two things happened that really killed the concept of Godzilla versus Ghost-Godzilla. One, special effects director of the Heisei era, Koichi Kawakita, saw it as impossible to portray the ghost on screen. And two, the final nail in the coffin, Godzilla had already faced two doppelgangers of himself in the Heisei era in the two previous Heisei G films, Mechagodzilla and Space Godzilla. So the third one would be quote-unquote overkill. And yeah, eventually it became Godzilla vs. Barubaruwe. But that name was going to be translated wrong into an Indian racial slur, so it was Destroyer, but Togo couldn't trademark their commonly used word, so instead they decided to name it Destroyer. Yeah, there he is. The devil himself. But we're not talking about this devil. We're talking about this handsome devil. So, follow along with me as I poorly explain how Ghost-Godzilla would have worked and what I would have done if this movie would have come out. Now, of course, brief context. Anguirus was supposed to be in it. What? Anguirus? Wasn't he in this movie? Why wasn't he in the Heisei era? We want Anguirus. Well, sadly, he's the monster that gets no respect. I'm sorry, my friends, but he gets no respect. But he would be introduced in Godzilla vs. Emperor Ghidorah, the Return of King Ghidorah, and would appear in the rest of the Heisei G films in my version of the Heisei era. Now, of course, Mothra and Rodan would also return in this movie. Mothra, yet again, she would come down from space from stopping the meteor that Batra was supposed to stop. And Rodan would be a ghost. A
Ghost Rodan.
ooh, spoopy. However, he would get resurrected at near the end of Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. In the end, my version of the Heisei era. Godzilla. And, well, little Godzilla, well, I mean, like, he's just the same. Okay. Also, you know what, I'll get into it later, that's spoiling. Well, anyways, let's begin. Okay, so, we begin with the skeleton. Title card, of course, it's revealed that G-Force has found the skeleton of the original 1954 Gojira. Of course, this is, gets the attention of G-Force, and General Osawa wants to take the skeleton back to G-Force headquarters as a trophy of sorts. However, when they get it there, surprise, surprise, Akira Takarada's character, Hideo Ogata, from the original 1954 movie, comes back and tells them that this is a bad idea, and they shouldn't be messing with the dead. But of course, General Lasso's like, "Pah! I don't believe in ghosts." But of course, Mickey does take his side. It is kind of risky. Soon then, just the day after the day is done, at nighttime, people report strange sightings of buildings being set on fire, collapsing, footprints being heard, earthquakes happening, and most mysterious of all, a big thunderous roar being heard. Of course, General also just dismisses this as Godzilla, as a Godzilla attack, but that is later disproven with valid proof from Hideo Ogata. Ogata filmed that it was not just a ghost, it was the ghost of the original Godzilla. Therefore, Azusa Gojo gives it the name Ghost-Godzilla, or Ghost-Godzilla in Japanese, for my Japanese audience out there. So, of course, G-Force tries to get rid of it. Of course, General Oso not believing. After a couple days, the ghost is gone. However, off the coast of Oto Island, two fishermen are fishing there and noticed an aurora, or northern lights. Brief history lesson for today, kids. The northern lights are basically when the sun reflects off the water and creates beautiful rainbows in the sky at night. And for those of you who live in Antarctica or the North Pole, they are known as the Northern Lights, the most spectacular night show from nature. And it is beautiful in person. I really do recommend you go and find it, if you can. But of course, what would be a Godzilla movie without some death? The two then rode too close to this Aurora Godzilla, or Godzilla Aurora, and presumably are killed by it. Soon then, this news reaches G-Force, and they eventually investigate the area. However, meanwhile, that same night, little Godzilla was called by the ghost spirit and being hypnotized. So he sets off to Oto Island, and eventually, in the early morning, when G-Force is surveying the Godzilla Aurora, Little arrives, and the Aurora stops its state of suspended animation, and then flies into Little Godzilla. Nothing happens at first, but then Little Godzilla starts growing at an uncontrollable rate, and pain, and there is pain in him, visible pain. Soon then, he grows into a 100-meter tall reincarnation of the fear from 42 years earlier. And of course, that sets a crash course for Japan. Of course, G-Force's many attempts are thwarted thanks to Ghost-Godzilla's impenetrability, although Little Godzilla's kindness does shine through sometimes. This is the Ghost's only weakness. And of course, Godzilla immediately notices this and says, "Oh crap, someone stole my infant again. Come on, Anguirus, come on, Rodan, come on, Mothra, my queen. Let us go find my son." So, in the early morning in the Japanese countryside, the Ghost eventually encounters Godzilla and co., but even the combined might of the monsters is no match for Godzilla. And also, earlier, when Mickey touched the Aurora, she blacked out. However, she woke up having superpowers, and actually does save some civilians. And actually does save some civilians. But it's only temporarily for this movie only. She gives Godzilla a little bit of an energy boost, granting him a new form of his nuclear pulse, the spiritual nuclear pulse, ridding the Ghost from little pulse by pulse. Eventually, the Ghost and Little are split in half, with Ghost Godzilla freezing into glass, and then at the daylight sun, and then shattering on the ground. And then shattering on the ground. G-Force presumes the monster is dead, but it's not over yet. After Little Godzilla comes to his senses, they are attacked by yellow gravity beams, and it's soon revealed that Emperor Ghidorah has somehow come back from the dead. And this would be a good time to talk about Ghost Godzilla's abilities. It would have incandescent light, or atomic incandescent light ray. Atomic incandescent ray. Basically, it references what Godzilla's atomic breath was called before it was called atomic breath. Incandescent light. Next, he would have possession. Of course, being a ghost, he possesses certain objects. Of course, in the possession of Little Godzilla. Then he has some form of Godzilla's nuclear pulse. He also has teleportation abilities and the Oxygen Destroyer attack, which basically is ironic considering that it was a thing that killed him, but now he's using it as an attack. And of course, resurrection. He can resurrect monsters from the dead, but only a select few. He decides to resurrect Emperor Ghidorah, Mechagodzilla, well, an evil version of it, Space Godzilla, Gigan, and Biolante. Yeah, I want to throw Biolante fans a bone, but hey, Biolante! And also Mecha King Ghidorah. Eventually, the four Godzilla monsters, the Godzilla and Co. would split up, dealing with all the threats that pose to their existence. Rodan would face Mecha King Ghidorah in the sky. Anguirus would face Mechagodzilla in a somewhat of a rematch, and Little Godzilla would face Emperor Ghidorah, his inner demons, and Godzilla will go for a good old rematch with Biolante. for a good old rematch with Biollante, baby. However, while all this is going on, Mickey senses that Ghost-Godzilla is returning. She then goes over by where Ghost-Godzilla got shattered to pieces, and then realized that when Little G and Ghost-Godzilla were split apart, the Ghost had already gotten some of Little Godzilla's DNA, which of course was Godzilla's DNA. Of course was Godzilla DNA. This allowed him to reconstruct himself into a 108-meter ghost / living being. He can also now phase through things like ghosts typically do. Soon then, after some of the fights go terribly wrong and some go terribly right, it all comes down to a final fight. However, Biollante decides to switch sides after being abused by Ghost-Godzilla. Of course, with Biollante resurrected, this also means that Erika's spirit, Erika Shirogami, is also resurrected. Well, at least her spirit. It shines through, and she eventually decides to team up with Godzilla and Co. The final battle ensues, and Mickey joins. However, in an act of sheer will, Mickey gives all of her powers up to power up Godzilla, which helps him defeat Ghost-Godzilla and the other resurrections. However, when all is said and done, Biollante does not dissipate or die. However, while G-Force is expecting Godzilla to kill the plant beast, he just sits there, knowing that there is a human inside. And also sensing the DNA in Biollante, he soon then sheds a tear himself and knows the pain of being mutated. Knows the pain of being a mutated monster. It was originally just being a dinosaur that was just trying to live out its days. But now to being this tragic monster that really no one can understand. Soon then, Biollante is sent turns into golden spores, floating off to nowhere. Floating off somewhere, or anywhere. Godzilla then go after the big battle, goes home along with the rest of the gang. In short summary, Godzilla vs. Ghost-Godzilla wouldn't really have changed anything. It would have given us one more extra film and an extra kaiju to have fun with. Of course, still, I'm pretty sure he would have appeared back in the MonsterVerse. But honestly, I would have loved to see Ghost-Godzilla on screen, and also loved to see Anguirus in the Heisei G film. What do you guys think? Comment down below if you think Godzilla vs. Ghost-Godzilla should have been made. But before I go, I just want to tap on Anguirus. this is what it would look like if it was in the Heisei era. And his abilities would be consisting of dig, his roll-up ball attack, nice beam, throwable spikes, and well, more crazy stuff that I've yet to mention. But there you have it. What if Ghost-Godzilla was indeed realized? And honestly, I'm really sad that we didn't get to see this kaiju in action. But I'm pretty sure that he'll get resurrected in the form of a MonsterVerse movie. After all, MonsterVerse movies aren't new to reusing scrap type plot ideas. But anyways, that's gonna wrap it up for today's video. If you enjoyed, make sure to like the video. It makes the algorithm happy, and it makes me happy. Also, comment down below if you would have liked to see Ghost-Godzilla terrify us all on the big screen. And would have that film made a good Halloween movie for you to watch during the spooky season? And don't forget to hit the big red subscribe button. And also, when you're done with that, a little bell will appear. Ring that to get notified when I upload a new video. But anyways, my friends, if that isn't enough said, then remember this. Now I become death, the destroyer of worlds. We created this bomb. There was no